All right. Hold on a second. What is going on? Let me see. For some reason, it's showing like the portrait isn't going. Oh, no, okay, good. It is. Okay, so we got the. Right on. Let's get right into it, guys. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Purple and Gold Bar Show. I am your host, Supreme Overlord, aka Mr. AI Man 3000, aka Mr. in Purple and Gold Bars, at your service. Don't forget, guys, in the month of December, we are doing a t-shirt giveaway, so make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment on any one of our lives, and you're going to get entered into the draw that we're going to do first week of December, or first week of January. Misspoke there, but we got a big one today, guys. We got to go through all the picks here. We're going to go through everything from Thursday night to Monday night. Ooh, Sam Darnold in a big game late in the season. This ain't looking too good, but we're going to get through it all. Are the Bears and Packers, is this an upset game for the Bears? Are they going to split the games with the Packers? I'm not sure. We're going to dive right into it, guys. Let's cue the intro. What is going on, guys? Like I said, we are back with another weekly live pick show. We're not gonna waste any time here. Let's just get right into it, guys. Moving on. Let me make sure we can bring in this. Let's remove that. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Starting off with Thursday Night Football. Ooh. This one's gonna be a rough one for Seattle fans if everything goes the way I anticipate it to go, because we all know that Sam Darnold is still, like I've been preaching all year, that Sam Darnold was not the Vikings' future, and it's because he is still really much continuing his reclamation project. We know that he's elevated his floor, and he is a good regular season quarterback, but when the pressure is on, whether that's self-imposed, remember when he played our Minnesota Vikings? Had like 134 yards, freaking like 54% passer rating and like a 67, oh no, like a 67 passer rating and like a 54 completion rate. He was hot garbage. Self-imposed in a game that he should have been able to just take over because there shouldn't have been any pressure. But that self-imposed pressure, because he just wants to, prove the Vikings wrong that we moved off for him, was too much for him to handle. We've also seen him already play against the Rams, a team that destroyed and embarrassed him in the playoffs last year and made him cough up 4 turnovers. I foresee, because this is more pressure than the last Rams game that they had, that this is going to go very similar, but Sam isn't going to be able to do much. He's going to continue to collapse and give so much of that fan base a lot to gripe about, especially going into the playoffs, wondering which Sam Darnold are we going to get? Are we going to get the guy that throws for a ton of yards and a bunch of touchdowns? Are we going to get the collapse version that they saw in Minnesota last year in the playoffs? I think that we're probably not going to see the collapse version in the playoffs, but very much we're going to see a little bit of a mediocre version. So it's a step in the right direction. His reclamation project should continue going, because I've been saying I still think that he's at least 2 years away from being able to be competent and confident in the playoffs, maybe even a threat. But poor Seahawks fans have to endure another tumultuous game. And hey, because you know what? The Rams, in my opinion, they're the best team in the league. I think they've set themselves up over the last couple of weeks to prove that they are the front runners, especially in the NFC. I expect them to be in the Super Bowl. Sam, oh my goodness. Matthew Stafford. Oh, wow. Matthew Stafford is in the middle of his MVP season. What an incredible season for Matt Stafford after so many years in the league. A lot of people were for the last 2-3 years have been speculating, when is Matthew Stafford gonna fall off, regress? I've even been thinking about it in my head. I wonder if this is the year that he starts slowing down a bit, start looking more like old man Rodgers at times. But he just keeps drinking from that fountain of youth, and he keeps delivering some incredible games, which is why I think he's the front runner for the MVP. That defense is no joke. Their interior pass rush is extremely good, and Sam cannot handle that interior rush. He crumbles under it. So we'll see. A lot of people, a lot of those fan bases were like, oh, look how bad Sam played and look how bad we were. And we were still so close. We could have beat him. We'll get him next time. But I don't know, guys. This is absolutely way more pressure for Sam. And there's playoff seeding pressure on top of it. It's just going to be a lot for Sam Darnold. That's why I'm going to lock in tonight on Thursday Night Football, the Rams taking over and putting Sam Darnold and the Seahawks in their place in their division. Let's go, guys. Moving on to the Eagles versus Commanders. Ooh, this game is one of the first Saturday night games of the season, right? I think it is the return of the Saturday night games. But the Eagles, we know they've been struggling. They're mostly on offense. Their defense is still pretty darn good. But their offense has definitely been something to be, improved on, something to be laughed at, something to be concerned with if you're a fan. Because some weeks you look great, some weeks you look mediocre, some weeks you look god-awful. But this should be the situation where it's a little bit of a tune-up game because they need to tune up over the last 3 games, okay? They cannot collapse and lose out, because then that gives the Cowboys a chance to get in. But I don't even think the Cowboys have a chance because they're coming in against a really good team. But this should be a nice little tune-up game. I know the Commanders play really hard. Even though they are injured, especially really badly with their pass rush, as well as their cornerbacks, namely Marshawn Lattimore going down with an ACL, they still are a wily defense that gives it their all, right? They're pretty decent, even though they are injured, right? So I think this is going to be a lower scoring game. I don't know if Marcus Mariota can really perform on that level with a strong defense like the Eagles. We saw what he did when he came in relief of Jaden Daniels against my team. That defense immediately picked him off. Good defenses can fluster him, right? And that's what the Eagles have. But will the Eagles offense be able to match, the 16, 17, or the 15 or 17 points or 12 points that the Commanders I foresee having? I think this is definitely a race to 21. Whoever gets to 21, I think might be the taking it here. But it is a divisional matchup, so they can be a little bit closer. So I think this is going to be a bit of a low-scoring game, and I think the Eagles are going to come away with it, 17-14, 17-12, something along those lines. Moving on to the next Saturday game. Ooh, Packers versus Bears. This is going to be a game where the Bears are looking to get some redemption, get some payback after such an soul-crushing defeat last time with Caleb Williams, him underperforming against good defenses, and then at the very end of the last game, throwing an interception to finish the game. It hurts. It hurts to be a Bears fan when you start reliving that game. But it's at Soldier Field. Maybe there's a little bit, even though Soldier Field hasn't really given them that much of an advantage this week or at all this year. I mean, the Packers play in the cold too, so they're not going to be afraid of playing in the cold in Chicago there. So it might be a bit of a wash there. There might not be an advantage. I think this is going to be one of those situations. Like I said, when they played them last week, I said, whoa. The Bears are playing basically the same game 2 weeks in a row. They're playing against 2 good defenses in a row. First the Eagles, then the Packers. And I thought it was going to come down to the Packers just being too much defensively and keeping Caleb and that offense in check. And that's exactly what happened. Now, I don't know if the same game plan that they put out last week, I don't know if that's going to be enough for the Packers this week. They're going to have to be a little bit more creative. They're going to have to create a little bit more turmoil, especially with Micah Parsons out. Some other guys have to step up here, right? I think this is a razor thin margin. A lot of people, I think, are going to be betting the Bears here, and I always pick an upset, okay? This week, the upset's going to be the Bears. Again, 2 weeks in a row, Shedeur Sanders and the Bears and the Bills definitely let me down. Their receivers in that offense really let Shedeur Sanders down. You know, that good defense usually brings a wrinkle into the game plan for the Bears and Caleb Williams, but he was able to do well against that pretty decent, above average defense against the Browns. The Packers are going to be maybe a step less from what we expect because of the loss of Micah Parsons, but this team can rally. Their defense is pretty darn good in other areas, which should kind of even it out. It gets probably more of a coin flip than people think. I think a lot of people are expecting this to be like a 10-point win for the Bears, coming back with some retribution, but I'm going to pick the upset here. Packers over Bears. What's going on, Blitz? Thank you for joining us here today. Moving on to the Sunday games here. Buccaneers versus Panthers. Ooh, another coin flip. This is an interesting matchup right here. Divisional foes, right? We all know what it's like in the division. Almost every division. You know, sometimes you'll see a team that's got 0 wins and come away with their first win of the season against a divisional opponent that sometimes might even be way ahead of them. So just how it goes. When you play each other so often, you kind of develop a good book on all the tendencies. You get a good intuition, and it seems like, for the most part, you see really close games. On top of the fact that the Buccaneers have had such an up and down middle of the season and kind of trying to limp their way into the postseason. And then we got the Panthers trying to play a little bit spoiler, trying to steal a position here, maybe even sneak into the playoffs as the divisional winner there. So there's a lot of implications in mind here. I think this is definitely a coin flip. I think it's going to be a lot closer. I don't think you can pick an upset either or here, but we're going to have to pick a winner nonetheless. But the Buccaneers, their defense is a wily defense, okay? They have the ability to kind of catch some teams off guard, and when Baker Mayfield is on, we saw that incredible pass that he threw to Mike Evans for that incredible freaking catch. Wow. It's incredible to have Mike Evans on the field. Emeka Mbuka now has that pressure taken off of him. So, and their running game is a lot healthier than it was in the middle of the season here. So can the Buccaneers first get into their gear, stay in there, and then make it a game where Baker kind of lights on fire? Because we know, when Baker is on and he gets that delusional confidence based on what's going in the game, he seems to kind of put a little bit more zip on the ball. He seems to be a little bit more accurate. He seems to just elevate a little bit. Can the Buccaneers do that? I'm not entirely sure. These Panthers are a fun team. Let's be real, okay? They're in the midst of still growing in development. Their development phase has been so long since the drafting of Bryce Young. You know, it goes with that when you keep bringing in new coordinators, new systems in place. But, you know, we're starting to see Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers turn a corner. But with development comes some really good wins, comes some really bad losses, and a little bit of inconsistency here in certain situations when you think they should be consistent based on the way that they played. So it's an interesting matchup. It's going to be a coin flip. Is Rico Dowdle and Bryce Young going to be lights out, playing some of their best football? Is that defense going to give them more than enough to kind of keep Baker in check? I am not sure whatsoever here. I would love to pick the Panthers here, but my heart always lies with Baker because he's one of my favorite quarterbacks. From that moment that he grabbed his junk at that Oklahoma Bowl game and was talking trash at the end of that game, I knew that guy was a winner, and that's the moment that I was like, I'm sold on this kid. I don't care. I know he's going to develop into a guy that's going to be a really good starting quarterback, and that's what he is right now. And so I'm going to keep going with the Buccaneers here, even though I've picked off of them a little bit here, or moved away off of them a couple weeks here because of their situations. I'm gonna go back and jump on the bandwagon a little bit here and give Baker Mayfield and the Bucks the nod on that metaphorical coin flip. I think he puts on the cape and he actually completes it this week. There we go. Buccaneers over the Panthers in a hard-fought game. Maybe 3 points here. Maybe 7. You never know. Moving on to the Bills versus the Browns. The Browns defense, I think anybody that's really looking for when they watch a Browns game, fans or NFL fans alike, are really just looking to see if Myles Garrett is going to be able to get that single season sack record. He's so close. I think he's at 21.5 right now. So I think one full sack will get him, because I think it's 22 sacks and it'll get it to him. But you know what? If he can get that, big ups. He is a dynamic player, guys. I've talked about this in the past, that outside, a lot of people want to give credit to some of these defensive players. Aiden Hutchinson, Max Crosby, Micah Parsons, guys like this that are game changers, game wreckers. But Myles Garrett stands alone, okay? This man, you have to game plan around it. A couple years ago, there's been a couple reporting, and an article even made that a lot of teams have come out and said, we have to game plan for him because he is such a dynamic player that he changes how we need to play the game. He's so good. I mentioned it when we played them this year, and how we could potentially overcome that, right? Making sure that we contain maybe chip block on his side and have, pass in behind him in that spot that he leaves open, which we definitely seen my Minnesota Vikings and Carson Wentz do, throwing to Jalen Naylor behind him for some quick gains here. There's ways to kind of game the Browns, but the Browns have kind of let off the gas a little bit here. They're playing pretty hard. I know Shedeur Sanders is playing hard. I like Shedeur. I really want him to succeed. I've been saying that for weeks on end, and I really want them to fire Kevin Stefanski and their GM in order to bring someone in that will believe him, or for him to request a trade and get to an organization that is going to give him a realistic shot and believe in him. Because if he has those two, he could prove everybody wrong. He might still prove everybody right, but I really want to see the kids shine. I want to see these new generation quarterbacks, Tyler Shuck, Cam Ward, J.J. McCarthy, Jackson Dart, all these young guys to kind of take over the NFL and kind of run with it. So, but when it comes to the Bills, these guys are dynamic. We can see video game numbers out of Josh Allen at any point. Okay, this defense might give them a little bit of a problem. The Bills defense can struggle at times. We've seen it. We've seen them lose to bad teams. But I just don't think that the Browns are going to have enough, because I think the Bills are going to go ahead and take an early lead. They're going to be a little bit more efficient. It's going to take a couple drives for Shedeur in the offense to find, their swing to get up to standard. And then we will see them kind of make a game out of it. But I still think that the Bills win here in a 10-point victory. It's just too much offensively for this Browns team, and I don't know if Shedeur Sanders, we haven't seen it yet. Can he put up 50, 40, whatever he needs to in a shootout against one of the best dynamic quarterbacks in the league? Maybe it's this week, and hopefully Shedeur, I would not be upset if he wins this and ruins my picks this week, because I want to see the guy succeed. So moving on to, we got the dumpster fire Dallas Cowboys versus the upstart, I don't really know if you can call him an upstart anymore, against the Los Angeles Chargers. Harbaugh has done a fantastic job turning this organization around and really getting them to fight hard. They have a great offense when Justin Herbert and their replacement left tackle for Joe Alt is playing good, or maybe even average. They can really be something else on offense. Their defense actually has been, pretty sneaky this year. They're actually really, really good. And in so many areas of football, when it comes to pass and run defense, they are actually an underrated defense, in my opinion, because when I think of great defenses or even good defense in the league, I don't think of the Chargers right away. But I go and look at their stats and look at what they're doing. And let me pull up the research that I did on them just to prove to you guys that I did do a little bit here. You know, they're only giving up about 20.3 points per game, which is, 10th to 12th, really, really good in the league. Yards are allowed. They're about 284 to 300 yards. So a strong defensive output league-wide, because, that's roughly the average of what we're seeing most teams do. So they're not like really, really bad and not that really, really good against yards allowed. And they're usually consistently been top 10 in yards and points allowed, right? So I already said that. Either way, they're pretty decent, so I'm thinking that when it comes to these Cowboys, they just struggle against pretty good defenses. Pretty good, and elite defenses. They just can't put up those points. They can't put up those video game numbers like they can against bad defenses. And I think that's going to be a factor yet again. I think this is probably going to be one of those games where it's like 27-31 Chargers, 17-21, maybe 24 from the Cowboys. It's just one of those games where I just think that the team that they're facing is just overall too good for them to overcome. Let's be real. Dak Prescott, if they get shut down and that defense does really, really well against them, they're not going to put up a ton of points, and the Chargers can definitely pile on the freaking points. But there is a little bit of a caveat here because, like I've been saying, when it comes to the left tackle here in replacement of Joe Alt, I remember what it was like when we picked up Cam Robinson when Christian Darrisaw went down last year. He had great games, he had bad games, he had mediocre games, he had above average games, and he also had middle of the pack games. And that's what you're going to get every single week. Now, can the Cowboys pass rush be that good, which hasn't been great at times or at all, really, do enough to kind of disrupt that or take advantage of that position? I don't know. Maybe they are going to be ready for that, and maybe they're going to be rolling out, or Justin Herbert being able to be pretty athletic and scramble away to the opposite side and making passes on the run, kind of making it so that isn't a factor. I'm not sure, but I am going to go and pick I am going to pick the Los Angeles Chargers here because, in my opinion, they're just an overall better team, and the Cowboys are just too flawed to beat a team of this caliber. They couldn't even beat my Vikings team that's in a developmental year. Sucks to be a Cowboys fan like it does every year. Let's be real. Always giving your fan base that hope. Oh, we can do it. We came back 21 against the Eagles. We're going to do it. We're going to make. Oh, we lost to the Vikings. Oh, grittying into the end zone by my quarterback, number 9, Mr. J.J. McCarthy, giving it to the Chargers here because I think this was an easy one to pick. Moving on to Jets Saints. Ooh, a coin flip. A battle of the two organizations that are amongst the bottom of the barrel, trying to, use these games as kind of tune-up games late in the season to kind of help transition and get enough good experience for the young teams so that they can kind of work with it in the offseason. We know that the Jets have sold the farm, picked up a lot of draft capital, and they're looking to do a good, solid rebuild. And I've been saying, and I've already co-signed. I've already said this, okay? Aaron Glenn, I think, is the right choice for the Jets. Now, all the Jets need to do is their front office needs to not do what Jets front office does all the time. Fire coaches midseason that they shouldn't have fired. Give up on coaches that they shouldn't have. Make stupid freaking decision and trying to force the team and the coach or whatever to do whatever they think is best. If they can keep their freaking head out of the kitchen and just let their head chef freaking do his job, I think this team is well set up to do a really good rebuild. I've been saying it every week. And the Saints, man, I am ecstatic to see Tyler Shuck play as good as He has been. What an upset last week, guys. This kid is something in the making. I'm excited to see how he develops. I'm excited to see how he does all next year as well. I think this is the reason why Alvin Kamara was like, I ain't going anywhere. If you trade me, I'm retiring. I want to play here. I want to finish out my career. I think he sees a little bit what we weren't seeing over the last couple weeks. And I think the Saints team has a little bit of promise. You know, I've been saying it from when Spencer Rattler was on the team. I was like, this team isn't horrible. I don't think they're like crazy bottom of the barrel. They're just trying to put things together, and it's just not working out for them. It's a thing of lack of experience at times. And I think they will be something special over the next few years, both of these teams. But gives me a hard decision to make because this is a bit of a coin flip. You know, do I want to both teams have captured my heart. So who do I freaking pick here? I'm going to go ahead and pick the Saints in a freaking a coin flip. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a fun game. When two teams of similar skill level face off, we get really cool football. Some awesome, funny moments, some great plays, a little bit of everything. So if you're a football fan, tune into this game. I think it's going to be a lot better than anybody wants to give credit. Saints over the Jets, ladies and gentlemen. Moving on to the Vikings versus the Giants. Ooh, man, the Giants have stolen my heart. I've been saying it all last year, and I've been saying it this year. I think they have a ton of potential. And in the offseason, I said, hey, these guys need to move on from Daboll because, and I'm glad that they did, but they just should have done it before the season. I think it was a dumb mistake to fire him midseason. They should just ran it with him and then moved on in the offseason. It's going to be weird to see what happens. Hopefully they bring in a guy that believes in Jackson Dart. Hopefully Cam Scatterbo gets an awesome recovery and he's back at full strength starting at week 1 next year because he is a momentum shifter for that team, okay? If you watch them on the sideline when he gets a 2-yard run, a 4-yard run, and he just slams through freaking blocks, he's just such an angry runner. They like jump on the sidelines. It's their mood, their energy is just amplified regardless of the run that Cam Scatterbo has, and that's missing nowadays. And they are definitely not the team. We got J.J. McCarthy versus Timu, J.J. McCarthy, and Jackson Dart. I only say that because TP, I saw what you said about my quarterback, okay? But let's be real here. We got a team that's further down the road in development and far better overall roster, coaching, everything. This should be like it was last year. Like I tried to tell you, TP, last year that you guys had no chance against us, and we went in there and blew your ass out, okay? I don't think we're going to blow you out this week. I think we're going to be having a nice, fun matchup, but I just think that our offense is going to be too much. Our defense is definitely going to be too much for your young quarterback. And I think it's going to be an easy, 27-17 win. A nice little 10-point win for my Minnesota Vikings. We got J.J. McCarthy starting to look like the franchise that I've been saying he is going to be, okay? This is what development looks like. Nobody wanted to listen. Go back and watch my videos on the subject. I basically predicted this season to a T. Aside from the injuries, I could not have foreseen those injuries. Our O-line was atrocious after week 2. Literally everybody injured. Unbelievable. But our O-line is healthiest as it's been all season. We're doing really well, with some creative blocking schemes, creating time. And now JJ is starting to put it together. I said he's a resilient learner. He needs to make mistakes because he's such a hard worker that he's going to do the work to fix those mistakes, and he has been. And he's been phenomenal the last 2 weeks, looking exactly how I said he would look at the end of the season and how I said that this Minnesota Vikings team, our best stretch will be the end of the season. Whether we win or lose, we will look the best, and that's not going to end this weekend. Giants, just not enough. They just are too hobbled, and they're demoralized. It's just going to be a hard-fought win for our Vikings coming out against the Giants here in a 10-point win, 27-17. I'm going to call it right here. Moving on to the Chiefs versus the Titans. Ooh, can we call this a coin flip? Can we call this an upset? Absolutely not. I think this is going to be a little bit more deceiving. I think people are going to be like, well, it's the Chiefs. They still got a decent roster. It is the Titans. They're 2-12. They should have more than enough to beat the Titans. But you know what? They don't have their quarterback. They're going to have to bring in a backup. And I don't know if he's going to be able to do as well as Cam Ward is. I think Cam Ward has been lighting it up. I think he is starting to put things together. He had by far one of his best, if not the best, game of his career so far last week. He looked awesome. I love the way he throws the ball. I love how he's starting to fix his mechanics. He's starting to see the field a lot better and making the right decisions. And I think that continues this week against the Chiefs. I'm going to pick the Titans here in an upset win. No, it's not an upset. Probably more of a coin flip than anything. And we're going to take the Titans here. Ooh-wee. It's been a long time since you can consistently pick against these Chiefs, but it might be a thing of the future. We'll see how they do in the offseason with their offseason acquisitions and how they draft. They're going to have to hit big on their draft this year and replace some of these aging stars on defense because, a lot of the criticism against Spags' defense is like, hey, you wouldn't be as good as you are and you wouldn't have as good of a defense if you didn't have the superstars. Because when their superstars are missing, or now that we've seen them regress to being just above average, they're not as dominant as they once were. So if they can make some interesting moves in the offseason, they might regain some of their threat, maybe put a little bit of fear in some teams. But I think some of the front runners no longer feel like they have to play at the highest level to beat these teams. And I think the Titans are coming in here for a nice little victory, a nice little close coin flip here. I'm going to say the Titans beat the Chiefs 24-15. Field goals from the Chiefs, nothing more. That's what I'm going to bet and gamble on here. Moving on to the next game. Ooh, the Bengals versus the Dolphins. Two struggling teams. Man, I really like Joe Burrow. Not enough for him for us to trade for him, of course, because that would just be ridiculous, let alone stupid. We've already put so much effort in maintaining in this rebuild. Why are we going to give up now after making so many decisions against giving up on it already? But enough of the Vikings. Moving on to the Bengals Dolphins. We have, two bad defenses. We have two offenses that can go off at times. Ooh. I think I'm coming to the realization this might be a bit of a shootout. Because definitely the Bengals, like I've been saying, the Bengals have a defense that is really inconsistent. They might come up with a couple, 3 and outs here and there that kind of give Joe Burrow that ability to kind of run away with the lead or kind of take the lead over. But they just are not overall good. Throughout the full 4 quarters, they just can't put great defensive outputs out there. Same with the Dolphins. They're almost the exact same defense. They're good at sometimes. They're really bad most of the time. But who do you pick here? I'm just going to gamble on... Oh, and let's be real. Let's not forget Tua is benched. So maybe it won't be a shootout, actually. Yeah, no, I'm gonna rescind that here and say that it's probably not going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be one of those games where, it's going to be a rough start. I could imagine like a whole bunch of 3 and outs to start the game for both teams, the scripted drives going bad, and then finally in the second quarter, Joe Burrow start putting something together, and in the second half, kind of running away with it, finishing something like 21-12. Race to 21. Let's call it here. The Bengals over the Dolphins in a weird game. Let's call that. Moving on to the 405 games here, starting off with the Falcons Cardinals. This is a weird situation to be in because both teams are flawed in different ways. The Falcons are a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde team. Some games they look incredible, beating the Bills. Other games they look horrible, getting shut out. Then we have the Cardinals, where sometimes they look really, really good. Their offense starts to click. They can do enough. Their defense kind of does more than enough to kind of keep them in games and even steal games away. And sometimes they just look like they just can't get the freaking engine rolling. So I just don't know. A bit of a coin flip here. But if I have to gamble on something, I have to gamble on Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. They definitely have the ability to run wild. And if they can do that, eat up time of possession, they might be able to keep the Cardinals offense off the field and prevent them from getting into the rhythm of things and getting back into the game. So it's going to be a wild one, a wily defense with the Cardinals, and a slightly above average defense from the Falcons. They can do some really good things on defense here. It's just going to be which offense is going to be more effective, and I'm going to gamble here and pick the Falcons. I'm going to bet on Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson being the big difference here. Moving on to more of the afternoon games, we got the Jaguars with the Broncos. Ooh! This could very well be the game of the week, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is going to be fireworks. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think the Broncos are now starting to kind of move away from that narrative. Can they put a full 4 quarters in? And we're starting to see them put more complete games together later in the season. And that's something that I wasn't expecting. I was expecting more of this heroics, second half, fourth quarter heroics in order to steal games away like they have off the back of their incredible defense. Let's be real. They're probably the best defense in the league. At the end of the year, we're going to see them being number one. Incredible freaking defensive outputs here from them. But the Jaguars, man, they don't go away. Liam Cohen, they are definitely starting to become more acclimated to the system and the philosophy that Liam Cohen wants to bring in, that Mike Shanahan system. And, they remind me of my Vikings team, the way that they play. And it's no surprise because my coach comes from the same coaching tree. So this is one of those games. Oh, I think it's a coin flip. Okay. Not a game that you can say, oh, it's going to be an upset, because I think anyone with any sense can easily see that either one of these teams could win on Sunday. I don't know what the money line is. I bet you it's only like 1.5 or maybe 3 at the most. Nothing crazy for either one of these teams. I haven't even looked at it. I'm not a betting guy, so I really don't pay attention to that, to be brutally honest. But I kind of sometimes look to see when I'm stuck with something. But I just don't know. Man, this is going to be a good game. Defense, the Jaguars' run defense is one of the best in the leagues. They can be quite wily here. Travis Etienne has been looking really good. Trevor Lawrence, game of his career. I think he might cool off a little bit. I don't think he's going to revert to the mean or anything. I think he's going to be still doing pretty well because, he hasn't had one of those like statistically dominant seasons. And it makes sense because he is transitioning yet again to another playbook and philosophy and system. So there's going to be some continuity issues there. And, I think maybe he's starting to figure out. That's why we saw such a great game from him last week. I don't see a blowout either way. I don't see Jaguars blowing the Broncos out. I don't see the Broncos blowing out the Jaguars. I honestly think this is going to come down to the late game heroics. Maybe a field goal to seal it. But who's going to get that walk-off field goal? Oh, man. I think in my mind I was saying, don't bet against this Broncos defense. And I haven't been. This regular season Broncos defense, not sure what it's going to be in the playoffs because you start facing more well-rounded teams and you're going to have to put up full 4 quarters or have to face adversity. And sometimes, teams like that have been in that, coming from behind, 4th quarter antics, usually don't do great in the postseason. But I'm starting to believe more and more that they can do some noise here. But am I going to pick them over these Jaguars? Something is telling me I'm going to have to pick the Jaguars. I don't know what it is. Something is telling me pick the Jaguars here. I think they may be in a position to kind of shock the world here and take down one of the best teams in the league. I think it goes, we're going to do the power rankings a little bit later here. And I think the Broncos may have, maybe they have overcome. I don't know. We're going to have to do the recalculation, but I'm going to pick the Jaguars over the Broncos in a walk-off field goal to finish the game. It might even be in overtime, guys. This might be that good of a game. Do not miss this game. This is going to be a good one. Moving on to Steelers versus Lions, another 425 game. Steelers and Lions are both flawed in way different ways, okay? Sometimes the Steelers' offense looks anemic. Sometimes old man Rodgers looks like an old man. Sometimes he looks like Aaron Rodgers of old, as we saw last week. Ooh, what a great game from Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. Lions, though, they are just so injured on defense. Darnold is out for the season. So many players just in and out. They've got players on injured reserves now. Kirby Joseph is contemplating retirement, and man, it would not be a loss to the NFL to lose that ACL hunter. Mr. Drop Hip Tackle Extraordinaire. Good riddance for that piece of garbage. But I think this game is going to be a little bit closer than people anticipate. I think the Steelers fan base is going, ooh, I think we're going to blow them out here because that Lions defense is so hot garbage. And we can definitely do way more offensively against them than their Lions can do against us offensively. But that Steelers defense, as good as that's looked at times, they're one of the oldest defenses in the league. There might be some taking advantages of, especially with Jahmyr Gibbs as well as Jameson Williams, right? So he's pretty freaking quick, that J-Mo. That could be a problem for the Steelers defense, especially for these old guys sucking wind at some points in the game, if they go up tempo here. But that, Washington and then in him being that, when they bring him in as a blocker and they really stack on the one side, over 1,000 pounds there, big boys blocking, Kenneth Gainwell could have a big game as well. It's going to be an interesting game. I think it's going to be a close one. I think it's going to be a game to watch. Definitely a great, great game. Don't miss this one. If you're a football fan, I don't care if you're not a Steelers fan or a Lions fan, this is going to be a good game to watch in general. If you're a fan of football, we're going to see a little bit of everything. But I just have a feeling that Aaron Rodgers is going to turn this into a big game in that offense. And you know what happens when it becomes a big game. Big game Goff arrives. Colin Cowherd's future Hall of Fame terrible take that's going to age like milk. I've been saying Jared Goff is no different to me than Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins. Name any single quarterback in history that was incredible in the regular season, had incredible stats, but just did nothing in the postseason because he collapses. His freaking quarterback rating in the postseason drops by 10 points. That's embarrassing. And I think these Steelers can make it a game, make it so that big game Goff shows up. So I'm going to take the Steelers in a convincing win, 7 points. Even though they're going to be in Detroit. It's going to be loud in there, but you can silence that crowd really quickly, let me tell you. Moving on to another 425 game. Ooh, this one's going to be a little bit easier. I really like the Raiders. They show a lot of potential. There's just, I don't know. I think they might have to move on from Pete Carroll. I think they're going to have to move on from their coordinator. I think they have to bring in another philosophy. I like Pete Carroll and what's going on. And I'm thinking that, we just give them some time. They can put it together. They'll figure it out. But the more I see from this team, I just think it's another situation like it was with the Giants last year. Just so much raw talent. Brock Bowers is unreal. He's definitely one of my new favorite players. Max Crosby's always been one of my favorite players. He's an incredible defensive player. Plus, freaking Michael Myers. Okay, look up here, guys. I have the Hall of Fame of horror villains here. I'm a big Michael Myers fan. He is my all-time favorite supernatural killer from the movies, okay? And so when I see Alshon Jeffrey out there standing in that Michael Myers stance, I just want the best for him. Plus, he's a young rookie running back. I want to see him do well. I want him to be great. But I just don't know, man. This defense is just going to be way too much. I think it's going to be too big of a problem for these Raiders to overcome, on top of having to not shoot themselves in the foot. I just can't in good conscience pick against the Texans here. CJ Stroud is coming out of his sophomore slump. I know that my Minnesota Vikings were the reason we knocked him into that slump, totally destroyed his confidence, and then his team pulling him in that game further added salt to the wound, which has taken a long time for him to recover. but he is emerging out of that. I think the confidence is starting to grow in him again. We're starting to see a lot more of the things that we saw him do in his rookie campaign. And I think he's going to come out of it. I think he's going to be a good quarterback, maybe even a great quarterback, okay? But I'm going to pick the Texans here in a very decisive win, something like 27-12, maybe 15. Moving on to Sunday Night Football. Ooh, I think a lot of people are going to be giving this game a lot of hype, saying, oh, we got the New England Patriots after a bad beat last week, coming from, losing after having a 21-point freaking lead, just evaporate because Josh Allen and those Bills just refuse to give up. But you know what? Go watch that freaking short that I put out on this team, or watch the prediction weekly picks live last week, and scroll to this game where I said the Bills Patriots. I think this is one of those games where it's going to come to the end of the game, and I think because it's going to be late in the season, it's going to be playoff-like football. There's going to be situational moments where the Patriots are just going to make some mistakes here that are going to open the door for the Bills. And because the Bills have been in this position multiple times over the last few years, and they've made those errors that the Patriots were going to make, they're going to overcome, and they're going to win with experience. And that's exactly what happened. Late in the game, the Bills did what they needed to do, and the Patriots stumbled here and there, opening the door and giving him that opportunity. And it is what it is with a young team. I'm not holding it against them. I just saw it coming. I still think that the Patriots are one of the best teams in the league, okay? I really like what they're doing here. I like Drake May. I like Stephon Diggs. I've always been a Stephon Diggs fan, okay? But they're going up against a Ravens team that I think is all hype and no gas, okay? They're going to be like, oh, look at us. We shut out the Bengals last week. We're back, baby. We're going to do it. We might sneak in. I just don't think that's a freaking possibility, guys. Bengals are not the same as the Patriots, okay? I know the Patriots defense has a couple flaws, especially in the red zone, but they're still an overall way better defense than the Bengals. And not to mention that Drake May is a freaking gamer. Early in this game, he's going to be strong like he always starts game. And if you can get a lead on these Ravens and you force Lamar Jackson to have to be a pocket passer, that's when you have them, right? Can Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson do more than enough to kind of steal the lead and put the pressure on the Patriots early in the game? Oh, very much so. They're a really good duo, offensive duo. But I just don't think that Ravens defense is anything special. I think they're maybe, they're between 15 and 20, somewhere in there. An okay defense, nothing great. And you're going to have to be great against this Patriots offense. And that's just something that they don't have. And I think the Patriots are going to be doing a lot more. And for all those reasons, I'm going to pick the Patriots here over the Ravens in a Sunday night matchup. The Patriots, I think, are just going to do enough to take that lead and put the Ravens into a one-dimensional offense, making them have to throw the ball and move away from Derrick Henry. And if that's the case, it's going to be an ugly, ugly game for the Ravens, because once that pressure's on Lamar and he has to perform under pressure and be in that pocket, we see weird interceptions. Remember that sack interception that we saw a couple weeks ago? Remember that running freaking interception where he just didn't put enough on it? Go watch. I've watched every single snap of Lamar Jackson's career. He is one of my favorite players. I'm not going to lie. I just know what this team is. The regular season merchants, nothing more. They don't have a system to be able to win in the playoffs or playoff-like games, okay? There's going to be times where you're going to have to depend on your quarterback to throw you out of bad situations, especially in the playoffs, and they can't do it. Lamar does not have that. I've watched every single snap in this man's career. He doesn't throw the back shoulder. He doesn't throw into coverage. He does not have the accuracy to put the ball just outside the defender's reach. And as a result, Todd Monken has to have some creative play design in order to, scheme open some players. That's why you see Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely come away with some big gains, because, they're so focused on stopping Lamar Jackson or Derrick Henry, and it feels like a run, and all of a sudden you got Andrews or Isaiah Likely out in the open, or Zay Flowers, and it's just an easy pass because, hey, Lamar Jackson can hit an open receiver like no one else, okay? And he just doesn't have the ability, doesn't have the bag to throw every pass in the book, okay? He just doesn't have it. That's just who he is, and it's okay. It's okay. He's not going to develop that accuracy ever, but he's still good enough. If you put a solid enough defense around him, you're going to have a top-tier defense to win with Lamar Jackson in the postseason, and they just don't have that. So I think the Patriots are going to run away with this one in a really decisive win. Moving on to Monday night, we got the 49ers versus Old Man Rivers and the Colts. Man, what a crazy situation. I think this is the most ridiculous and most outrageous move. Crazy move by the Colts to go for Phillip Rivers, pull him out of retirement. But you know what? Like I said going into last week, I was like, I don't think he's going to have a god-awful, look like a total scrub out there. I don't think he's going to look like the best version of Phillip Rivers. I think he's going to look somewhere in the middle, average. You know, that's what he was. You know, it was an ugly game. He threw a touchdown, 120 yards, you know, just average. Probably better than their backup quarterback, their young rookie dealing with a knee injury. But this time, they're facing a whole different animal. I know the Colts defense is pretty good. Cam Bynum is still one of my favorite players, being that he was a Minnesota Vikings for so long. But these 49ers, man, talk about forged in fire. They've been through so much this year and over the previous 4 years that they are just not afraid of adversity. They lean into it, and they almost want it. Just like I said when they played the Giants, I was like, both teams are just learning how to fight through adversity and win and overcome. The Giants are just not developed there yet. The 49ers are. They're going to beat them. That's exactly what happened. Another situation here where I know the Colts are going to make it tough defensively for these 49ers, but these guys show up. The 49ers don't care what you do. Punch in the mouth. Get them staggered. You know, almost on wobbly legs like we're about to get knocked out. They freaking, like an MMA fighter, pull guard. They freaking hold on for dear life, and they get the stand up, and they come back and knock the other team out. That's what the 49ers are. A team that faces adversity, isn't scared of it, and even welcomes it. That's why I think the 49ers are going to take this one in a decisive game. Something like 27 to probably like 17, maybe 31 to 17. I think this is going to be a really solid win. I think Phillip Rivers is going to play better. We might see, 184 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, maybe 2 or 3 sacks. And overall, like a decent, 90, maybe a 101 pass rate, or somewhere around there. A good game for a grandpa, okay? But it's not going to be enough. It's just not going to be enough against this 49ers team that is just so resilient. That's why I'm going to pick the 49ers in a big win here on Monday Night Football. And there you guys have it, ladies and gentlemen. Delton, what's going on? Sorry, guys, I haven't been able to stay caught up with the chat. I've been just trying to, speak from that freaking mental script, just on the fly, giving you my honest thoughts, in the moment reaction, feelings on how I think these games are going to go. But I really love every single one of you guys. Blitz, Frozen, Delton, you guys are true heroes here. I haven't seen MJ in a little while. He's always in here. Maybe he's been working or something. I don't know. Big ups to everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will catch you guys on the live a little bit later. We're going to do a power rankings. It's probably going to be a short one. Probably like an 8-minute, 10-minute, 12-minute, because it's just getting so much easier to adjust the power rankings to be the most accurate power rankings in the YouTube space. Let's be real, okay? Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, guys. We are on we're in the middle of a t-shirt giveaway, guys. So anybody that subscribed, as well as has left a comment in the month of December, is going to earn a ballot, up to 10 ballots for the draw we're going to do live. Old school. We're either going to pick a name out of a hat, or names out of a hat, or I'm going to, if I can find one of those bingo rollerball things, and we'll get her done for you guys in a live stream where we can just hang out, celebrate the season, seeing what it's like. Everybody can talk about their favorite teams and whatnot, and we will give some t-shirts away. Don't forget, there will be a t-shirt that's designed that's going to be unveiled at the live stream. That it's going to be a secret design. I've already shown the t-shirt that we're going to be doing. It's kind of like a spray paint graffiti, purple and gold bars on the front, and then the logo on the back with some drips to make it look like it was spray painted on the back. We're going to have a mystery new design. Now, these designs, I'm not leading into like doing a freaking merch shop or nothing like. It's just my way of giving back to you guys. I don't foresee this channel even being that big for another 2 or 3 years anyways before we can even consider merch. So that's definitely not what's going on. These are going to be one of a kind. We're not going to bring these designs back. These are kind of more like tester for when for further giveaways and just kind of see what I can do in t-shirt designs. We'll do more t-shirt giveaways over the next couple years. Just my way of giving back. Maybe we'll do one to start the season next year. Maybe we'll do one for the preseason games and the month of September. You heard it here first. So don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. Get you guys some ballots for that win. I love every single one of y'all. I don't care what team that you guys root for. I want the best for you and your team, except for when you guys are playing my team. At that point, I don't want injuries to happen at all, because you guys know how I feel about injuries. I hate them. I absolutely hate them. If you guys watch the Real to Sports podcast last weekend, I let you guys know what I think about the injuries, and I think it's a travesty what we're seeing here. But I love every Samuel with a late freaking join. What's up, buddy? Love you too. I'll catch you guys on the next live a little bit later. Not sure what time, because I got some work and everything to do, and I'm working on another edited YouTube video. We're going to start pumping more of those out as well. So big ups to you guys. Take care. Love you all.